That's the reason why this. That's the reason why the system lacks legitimacy. It's been a flaw. It's been a joke ever since the start. Ever since it was implemented in 2004. Denny Hamlin gave his opinion in 2015 season about the playoffs and how messed up it is, and how messed up and how gimmicky it is. Kevin Harvick gave his opinions after he was literally screwed out of a dominated season in 2020. That these championships aren't like what Petty and Earnhardt used to race in. And I totally agree with Kevin Harvick. The man that created the playoffs, Brian France, and yet it still exists to this day. No joke, and I'm not kidding. I literally loathe the system. I loathe the win and you're in system, and I loathe the playoffs. I don't like it. I don't like it. The winning you're in system, the gimmicky 16 driver system, the winning you're in 16 driver style format. Because it literally screwed drivers. Because ever since it was first implemented in 2014, it literally screwed drivers that had great seasons out of championships. It literally made drivers who had less wins, who had poor performances, leapfrog their way in the playoffs, making it in the playoffs anyway. Just like what happened in 2024. And I congratulate Harrison Burton for winning that race at Daytona. Because he really needed that win. But look, but before he had that win at Daytona, he was literally in contention to compete for the championship. He was nearly in last place in the standings. He was in the 30s, and he was 30th or worse in the point standings. And yes, after Harrison Burton got that win at Daytona, he literally just leapfrogged his way into the playoffs. And that's how he got in. He literally just leapfrogged through drivers. Through drivers he literally just leapfrogged his way to the playoffs. No doubt about it. Even the drivers that were racing their way in the playoffs, like Kyle Busch and Bubba Wallace, now they have no chance of winning the championship. They didn't even get that doesn't even have a chance of even getting into the playoffs. And I'm not talking about the playoffs themselves. I'm talking about the last two races. Those drivers never even had a chance to get to even compete in the playoffs. Kyle Busch, he literally had 2 runner-up finishes at Daytona and at Darlington. And yet he's still out of the playoffs. All because of a driver all because of the driver he was 30th the worst, leapfrogged his way in the playoffs. Kyle Busch doesn't even get a chance. He could have made it anyway by points throughout those second place finishes. But yet he doesn't even get a chance to compete, to even try to race his way into the championship. And we even see drivers that weren't in the playoffs win playoff races. Bubba Wallace got win. Had Bubba Wallace, he won the playoff race at Kansas in 2023. Bubba Wallace won a playoff race at Talladega in 2021. A rain-shortened race at Talladega. His first win in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series in 2020 at Talladega. At the biggest, baddest track in NASCAR history. Bubba Wallace made history at Talladega, becoming the first black driver. Bubba Wallace became the first black driver to win at Talladega. The same track that the first black NASCAR driver ended his career at in 1973. Bubba Wallace scored his first win at that track. The biggest, baddest track in the NASCAR schedule. Bubba Wallace made history and became the first black driver to win at Talladega. The fall race at Talladega. The Winston 500. And that does deserve credit. It deserves a lot of credit. Because black drivers, because there's very little black drivers in this. There's very little there's very many. There's hardly very any black drivers, besides Bubba Wallace, and besides Wendell Scott. If there has been, I have never heard of a black, or they have been forgotten about for years among the NASCAR community. But yeah, that is a positive about the winning year-end system. Even though Bubba Wallace wasn't even in the playoffs, he still managed to get wins. 2020 throughout 2022. 2020 and 2023. He won at Talladega in 2020. He won at Talladega in 2020, and he won. Of course, it was due to rain, and he won the playoff race at Kansas in 2023. And that is a major accomplishment for a non-playoff driver. But I'm not done with Brian France just yet. Because he is the man who created the system, the 16 driver format. The format that I literally despise. The winning year-end system. The Sprint Cup Series almost had a winless champion, but there is one series that did have a winless champion. It's the system that was specifically designed for winning. The Truck Series in 2019, Matt Crampton won the Truck Series championship, and he didn't even win the single race that season in 2019, and he still walked away with the title. He literally just leapfrogged his way. Into the championship. Leapfrogged his way through drivers who literally had wins in the 2019 series and the Truck Series. And yet Matt Crampton won the championship despite not even winning a single race that season. So yeah, Brian France created a gimmicky system. Brian France created a flawed system and created a gimmicky system. A system that was literally specifically designed for winning, having drivers leapfrog their way in. And the playoffs not only screws drivers, it also is, in my opinion, it's also the most dangerous. In my opinion, in the playoffs, the winning year-end system creates dangerous situations for drivers. Drivers getting so desperate and intentionally crashing people, intentionally causing wrecks, all because this winning year-end system has been implemented. Cause drivers to get in desperate situations and intentionally wrecking people, all because of a gimmicky system. And there has been way more penalties. And speaking of penalties, there has been way more penalties ever since this playoff format was implemented. There has been a lot of penalties. There has been a lot of penalties throughout the playoff system. Ever since the winning year-end system was first introduced, we have been getting a lot more penalties. Either from drivers getting desperate, most likely from crews getting desperate in the playoffs. And there has been way more penalties in the playoffs than non-playoffs. When it's cool, calm, and collective. And playoffs creates chaos. It creates controversy. Yeah, that's the reason why this playoff format has got to go. I'm no offense for the guys who do like the playoffs. No offense to the fans who like the playoffs. But there is no way that a driver likes the system. Even Kevin Harvick, he openly admitted that 2014 was not his year to win the championship. 2015 was actually his year to win the championship. Even though Matt Kenseth, he was also having a great season in 2015. But yet, Kevin Harvick openly admitted that 2014 was not his year. 2015 was his year. And thanks to the playoff format and thanks to the playoff system, Jimmy Johnson will win the championship 5 times in a row. In 5 years and 5 seasons in a row. From 2006 all the way up to 2010. And hadn't the playoffs had not been implemented, there was no way Jimmy Johnson would ever walk away with those championships. He would walk away Jimmy Johnson would probably walk away with at least 2 championships. 2006 and 2009 would have been the year that Jimmy Johnson would have been champion. With the ultimate, but yep, Jimmy Johnson was the one who tied Jeff Gordon's rival, Dale Earnhardt Sr., and he tied Richard Petty's record of winning 7 championships, all because of this system. And all 7 of Jimmy Johnson's championship was under the playoffs. All 7 of Jimmy Johnson's titles he won was because of the playoffs. And hadn't if he stuck into the Winston Cup format, there was no way Jimmy Johnson would walk away with those titles.
Power of AI inferencing to work for your business with the latest Lenovo
There's no way. Jimmy Johnson. But thanks to Brian France's creation, Jimmy Johnson walked away with 7 titles. Could have been Jeff Gordon's time to shine to become the 7-time champion. I mean, Jeff Gordon being 7-time champion, I think would have been better than Jimmy Johnson's 7-time champion. Now, I'm not hating on Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson's a great driver. But Jeff Gordon should have had 7 championships. And I'm not making this up. Jeff Gordon should have had 7 championships. He should have tied his rival Dale Earnhardt by winning 7 championships, especially with 2007. He had a dominating season that year in 2007. Best average finish, 6 wins, 30 top 10s. Yet walks away with no title. It sucks. It literally does. It literally does, and it really does frustrate. And it really does frustrate me, because Jeff Gordon was a great driver that season. He even beat his rival. He even beat his rival's records for career wins. With the record-breaking win at Talladega in 2007. Swept Talladega in 2007. Won both races. Won the non-karts, won the Gym 4 race at Talladega, and won the Gym 5 race at Talladega at the end of that season. But yet walks away with no championship. It really does frustrate me as a Jeff Gordon fan. It really does. And Dale Earnhardt Jr., he could have had championships. He could have had 2013 championship. 2013 could have been Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s year to win the championship. Hadn't if Brian France had not played with the format. Hadn't if he'd not stuck to one format. The 2004 format, it was 2004 format. Even though it was still the playoffs, it didn't lack legitimacy. This playoff system does lack legitimacy. So it did 2013. Ever since he reworked the playoffs. From 2012, from 2007, all the way from what we have now. Legitimacy decreased. Legitimacy went down. Ratings went down. Look at the TV ratings. Ratings declined. TV ratings declined ever since the playoffs were first implemented. Ratings were down. They think that the playoffs would be good for the ratings, and the ratings will actually go up. The NASCAR ratings, the TV ratings, they went down because of this playoff. because of this playoff system.